Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a really interesting topic today.
That's right. It's your information diet.
We all have one.
We're looking at this piece by Abhinav, who argues that what we consume online, especially on social media, it really impacts our minds.
And he uses this great metaphor comparing it to our actual diet. Just like with food, it's not just what you eat.
It's how it makes you feel.
Exactly, your information diet. It's about the impact.
He even starts with that Dickens quote, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. He's talking about the internet, social media specifically. It's this double-edged sword.
It is. So much opportunity, but also potential downsides.
That's what I found so fascinating. He calls it an information diet. Like, we should be as mindful of the information we consume as the food we eat. And there's actual science behind this, too. It's called neuroplasticity.
Okay, tell me more about that.
It's the brain's ability to change, physically change, based on what it processes. So it's not just an analogy, this information diet. It's rooted in how our brains work.
So interesting. And then he gets into categorizing information, right? Information vitamins versus information junk food.
Yeah. Makes you think, what are you feeding your mind?
Right. What are some examples of each, and how do they actually affect us?
Well, he talks about how information junk food can lead to this kind of mental fog, even a negativity bias.
Like you're just not as sharp.
Yeah, and you might be more likely to see the negative side of things. Just like eating too much junk food, it affects your physical health. Low-quality info does the same to your mind.
That makes a lot of sense. So what did he see as these vitamins versus the junk food? I'm really curious to dig into these categories a bit more.
Sure. So vitamins, he's talking about content from people who inspire us to learn, to grow, the kind of stuff that makes you want to be better.
Like experts in their field.
Exactly. STEM fields, artists, writers, innovators, people pushing us to reach our full potential.
Okay, so that's the good stuff. What about the flip side?
The junk food. Well, he talks about things that appeal to our, let's say, lower impulses. The reality TV drama, sensationalized news, anything that promotes unhealthy behaviors or just straight up misinformation.
That's so easy to get sucked into, though.
It is. It's seductive because you get that instant gratification, but then you're left feeling kind of empty, unfulfilled.
And I think we often fool ourselves into thinking we can handle it all, right? The constant information, scrolling endlessly.
We do, but our brains actually have limits, which is important to remember when we talk about our information diet.
What does he say about our capacity to actually process everything?
Well, get this. Our brains are super powerful. We can process millions of bits of information every second.
Wow, millions.
Millions. But our conscious mind can only handle like 40 to 120 bits per second.
That's a huge difference.
Huge. And then there's working memory. That's the information we hold for immediate use. It's even smaller. Only around 7 ± 2 chunks of information at once.
Wow, that's such a small amount when you think about it that way.
It really is.
So knowing we have such limited capacity, it makes choosing those information vitamins even more important.
Exactly. If we're filling up on junk, there's no space left for the good stuff. It's like trying to fuel a race car with, the cheap gas.
It's not going to run as well.
You're not going to win any races, that's for sure.
It really makes you think twice about where you're putting your attention. Because those choices, they're shaping your brain, just like he was saying.
It all comes back to that. And, he actually gives a great personal example of this. He talks about feeling bombarded by, all the celebrity news on Facebook.
Oh, I know the feeling.
And it was really affecting him negatively. So he decided to just drop it all. No more Kardashians, no red carpets, nothing.
That's a pretty bold move.
It is. But it shows how we can curate what we take in.
You have the power.
Exactly. It makes you think, what are some of those sneaky junk food sources we're getting without even realizing it? We've all got them.
Like constantly refreshing social media, letting those algorithms control us, or maybe we're glued to news cycles that just make us anxious. It's easy to fall into those traps.
It really is, especially with the way things are set up now.
Right. And just like he blocked those pages, we can all benefit from minimizing that junk.
So what can we actually block to make space for better stuff? Or at least, cut back on?
It might be unsubscribing from emails that don't serve you anymore, or setting boundaries with the news. Don't need to be refreshing those headlines every minute.
Definitely not.
Those are great places to start. And think about those times you just find yourself scrolling mindlessly, right? What if you swapped that with something more enriching? Even 5 minutes reading a good article or a podcast. It all adds up.
It's about making a choice, like you said, being intentional. We don't have to let information just happen to us. We can curate an experience that really nourishes our minds.
Absolutely. And this actually leads to another interesting thing Abhinav brings up about the source of information.
It's huge.
He says every single thing we encounter online, from a social media post to an article, it comes from someone with their own agenda,
Always.
their own perspective.
Every creator has a motivation, right?
Yeah.
And it's like he's asking us to look beyond just the information itself.
To think about who's giving it to us and why.
Exactly. Why are they saying this?
It's easy to miss that. We're so focused on the what's being said, but not the who or the why.
Totally. And he suggests it comes down to this.
Yeah.
Are we drawn to someone's virtues or their vices?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Are we choosing to engage with those known for their intelligence, their integrity, their positive impact, the virtues?
Or are we, maybe without realizing it, giving our attention to those who just thrive on drama, negativity, even harmful stuff, the vices?
It's a subtle but really important difference, right? Because every click, every follow, it's a decision about what we're letting into our minds.
And like we've been talking about, all those choices, they have this ripple effect on how we think, how we feel, even our brains themselves. It's like we're constantly making these tiny decisions, and they all add up over time.
It's true. And he actually compares it to investing.
Oh, how so?
He says, just like a financial investment that compounds, the information we consume accumulates, shaping us bit by bit, for good or bad.
That's such a powerful way to put it. It makes you think about those returns, right? Are we investing in our minds wisely? Are we going for growth or just quick distractions?
It's something to think about, and he makes this really bold claim that these mental investments, they might actually matter more in the long run than just how inherently intelligent we are.
You mean it's not just about being born smart, it's what you do with it.
Exactly. It's about actively cultivating our intelligence through what we choose to let in.
Wow. As we wrap up this deep dive on the information diet, it seems like the key takeaway is we can't just be passive.
Definitely not.
We've got to be active, choosing carefully where we get our information and being mindful of who and what we allow to shape our thinking.
Absolutely. Like a good diet, it's all about balance. Minimizing the junk and filling up on those vitamins, those things that nourish our minds and help us grow.
Abhinav really gave us a lot to chew on today. He encourages us to ask ourselves, if we treated our information intake with the same care as our food, what would we change? What would a truly nourishing information diet look like for each of us?
Those are great questions to ask ourselves. We're all navigating this crazy world of information, and it's up to us to decide what we let in.
Until next time, everyone, stay curious and choose wisely.